You just finished your master's degree. Congratulations. But now you face it with a big question, PhD or industrial job. This decision have an effect and will shape the next 3, 5 or maybe longer of your life. So if you stand in this crossroad right now, stop scrolling. This video is for you. In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to give you the clear decision-making framework to make a choice based on the really actually fit for you, not under pressure. And I'm Milad Hiranipur. This is Energy Radio. Let's figure out this together. Here's the most people get the wrong decision about this. They think, okay, I'm whether like the master research or not, but this is too very simple for this decision. This is the multi-dimensional decision involve your career path, your financial situation, and your life condition right now. Today I'm gonna break it down in the simple part, like first, are you really ready to doing the PhD? Or what does it mean your career path and financial condition? And in the last part, about the life situation right now, it's ready to doing the involving in the PhD research or not. And I want to give you the simple tools that help you by the decide in the end of this video. You know, okay, exactly, I'm ready to doing that or not. Let's start. The first question we come in our mind is like, I am ready to doing the PhD research or not. I need to precise because it's going the way the beyond. I'm just saying, no, I love doing the research. I'm passionate about this field. Let's love the research. But you have to ask yourself, okay, is the 3 specific question when you're doing the based on the research you done in the master thesis experience. First question is coming. During the master thesis, what's your relationship with uncertainty? The uncertainty is not meaning, okay, you didn't know what can I do or the simple part. It's about the moment you didn't know anything, you have a clear answer for that. When your lecture review is conflicting with your results, is not completely working, or it's exhausting you, be honest with yourself, because the PhD in the fundamental is about the working at the edge of the knowledge, which there is no clear answer for, not days, not weeks, for the months or maybe for the years. So you have to ready about that. The second question, it's like during your master thesis research, how do you handling the failure? It's not a small failure in the simulation or the step back like that. It's a big one. To change whole of your methodology. When your hypothesis going wrong, when you for 3 months you working, but in the final you have nowhere. When you completely, you have to redesign whole of your research, whole of your methodology. Naturally, you can start it from the beginning. It's fine for you. For example, you can handle it, you stress yourself, or what's happened? Or no, you're feeling, okay, I'm stuck, I'm done, I didn't want to wait, and I'm waiting for someone coming to help me. Or what can I do during this part? And this is, okay, no wrong answer here. But it's about the crucial, about yourself, and you found it, okay, I'm from emotional, from the science, from any kind of the aspect, I'm ready for this kind of happening to me during the PhD research or not. The third question we face it is that when you going in the night during your master thesis, you keep thinking about it. It's you focusing to just finishing and release from that. Oh no, you're passionate about, okay, maybe I have to consider another aspect when I have to look at this research from the different perspective. Okay, you can solving the other kind of the question. What's happened to you in Where do you constantly thinking, okay, the bigger question from the theoretical and from the different kind of the aspect? Because the PhD research require the both mindset. You have to every time coming zoom out and also going zoom in the much more detail or no in the bigger vision. So you will be comfortable with this changing the mindset in the detail and also in the big vision of this aspect of your research or not. It's a practical test for you. Okay, think about your master thesis and ask yourself, where is the three main research question in your research? You can open up and look at it from the different perspective, or do you have any clear vision about them? It's more important that's dependent, for example, 3-4 idea for 3 years in the future I can work on that. Or you're thinking, okay, if I'm moving in this topic, it's overwhelming you. This is kind of the practicing with yourself to see, okay, my mind it's ready to do in this kind of the research or not. If you can immediately, okay, this question is, I don't feel any curious about it, I didn't want to work in this part, so move away and go into next part. But if you know you're feeling okay, this is passion you, this is give you some energy to work at least 3-4 years on this kind of the detail, you can move into this kind of the PhD research. Okay, and keep it in mind, we haven't any wrong answer for this kind of question. It's based on you, it's based on your personality, based on your feeling, based on your passion. And for each person, we have a different path. So we try to figure out which path is fit for you. This kind of the exercise, we try to shaping this kind of the question too. In the next, let's talk about the most important, career and money. And let's be real. This is matter because the people always didn't want to admit it. And what you need to do, open your laptop and try to, after watching this video, search about your job you really want to work in this part. For example, I wanted to be the architecture in the big company. When you check them, I try to figure out how much money they can make in the year. If you need a PhD for getting this job or not. Or if you have a PhD, it's an advantage. It doesn't affect. Or in the final part, you say, okay, if you getting this job with a 4 or 5 years experience, I can make more if I started with a PhD. Or if I started with a PhD, I can't beat this guy and make money, or I can make more money. It doesn't matter. In some jobs, is most of the job working in the industry is pay you based on your experience. So rather than 4 or 5 years working in the PhD, if you start right now and getting 5 years in the last part, then anybody can hire the PhD or hiring you at this level, you get paid more because you have a much more experience in this kind of the job. So based on this kind of the question, you know, okay, I didn't need to be getting the PhD. It's better to me to start it right now in the industry and get much more experience. But some kind of the job, for example, if you want to be professor at the university or not, you will be R&D in the some part of the lab, or you want to be, I don't know, the project management or any kind of this consultanting or industrial in the specific part of them. Or no, you want to completely move in the educational. You want to be professor at the university, you love teaching the student. For that reason, you figure out, okay, I have to study the PhD. But for the most of the case, no, it's not needed. So you can decide, okay, in the final pass, which kind of this decision is fit for me. For example, my personality, I love teaching. So for that reason, I decided to study the PhD, because when you want to move in the educational part for the university, for the school, for any kind of this part, you need, or it is mandatory to having the PhD, because you have to be multidimensional research. But when you're coming into income, you found that okay, after the 4 or 5 years, you're just living in the not comfortable, but it's a livable, we can call it. You didn't make much more money than the person that started in the industry. So maybe you were exhausted and disappointed in this end of this way. And think about that in the 10 years. Look at your people have this kind of the position. What kind of the path they have to do? They study in the industry or no? They completely moving in the PhD's part. Oh no, you need some mix of this education. You need to have a PhD or and in the meanwhile with experience. So based on that, you define, okay, for your career, for your ideal job, which kind of this path is much more fit. In the next time, let's talk about the academic advice. Maybe the most of the people is ignoring, but actually super important. It's your life situation right now. You marry, you have children, and the PhD in the minimum is a take a 3, in the high is more or less 5 and 6 years of your life. It is sometimes going longer, but it's really a long time, and it's your life. It's really matter. First, let's talk about the money and responsibility. The scholarship may receive during your PhD is the more or less it's fine for one person. If you want to work both, maybe two. So you have to decide based on this kind of during your master degree. You have some debt or loan you have to pay back. Do you need a support for your family? Or no, the family can support you. Are you planning to get married? It's really a huge decision. You want to buy the house, I don't know, you can start a family as soon, you want to get a child. This kind of the decision, you have to be honest with yourself. And based on this, if you have any serious financial responsibility, for example, maybe you're living with your parents, you have to support them. That's a really big decision. You can handle it, this kind of the stress, because this kind of the scholarship maybe is not fit for this kind of the responsibility, and you have to work with this kind during this time. That's a huge impact on your life, on your stress, on your performance during the research, during the work. You have to traveling in the most of the case. Maybe some of the people can handle that because it's a lot of the pressure from university, from the supervisor, and also from your family. And maybe you crash. So try to think about that, and also think about where do you want to live. Most of this PhD, it's finding the PhD position in your hometown. It's super hard. If you be international, that's make a difficulty, because you have to choose where do you want to live. It is some PhD scholarship. It's found in between the 2 and 3 different institute and university. They decide where you have to live. For example, we have some national PhD program. They said, okay, the first year of your career, you have to live in this city. In the next year, you have to move to another city. And the last part, 6 months, you have to go the road and back. Too complex. And if you have a family, if you be single or you will living with yourself, maybe much more comfortable if you have a wife or you have any kind of the family with the children, and changing is too hard. And for some cases, maybe you can talk to say, okay, I have a big issues to traveling, so I have to stay. But most of the case, they didn't accept this kind of thing. You have to move to that another city, for example. You have to move to work for this institute in another city. So think about this kind. You're ready for this kind of the change. It's a huge impact on your life. It's a huge impact on your level of the stress. It's a huge impact on your decision, the whole of your personal life. And in the last part, we come into the international. So you have to move to another country. You face it with the visa, you face it with a lot of the banking, you face it with the immigration rules. Some of them it's the country didn't like the international PhD student or the international student, so you haven't any clear path. You face it with a deal as a thousand rule, maybe change it every year. So if you look at yourself, you have to think about your age also. You have to think about this part to say, okay, I'm too young to want to spend 5 years and end of them and be 40 or 45. So don't look at this part it's not the wrong answer for this part, but you have to be real with yourself. After the 40, what's happened to you? It's which kind of the job, they have some threshold for the age or not. This is have an effect on your career path. And is a different path for any person being the age of the 20 to 30 with the person being ages of the 40 to 50. So you have to real with yourself and try to doing some research, okay, to think, okay, after the 5 years spending in this job, I can get the next job with the 40, with the 45 or not. We have some limitation for that because this kind maybe reduce the chance after the getting job, after the finishing your PhD. And in the final, try to look at your support system. This is anybody you have it, maybe if you face it with the financial situation during your PhD, can support you or not. You have to leave there. Because you can find any person to maybe just for short term, 6 months, 7 months or 1 year support you. And for that reason, after the 2-3 years doing the research, in the middle of them, you have to leave. Think about that with yourself. Try to be honest and based on that, decide, okay, because one of the biggest problems you face it, you just doing the research by yourself for the 3-4 years. In some days, you'll be feeling super lonely. You haven't anybody to talk because you have to move to another city. In this city, you'll be completely new. You have no friends, you have no family there, and finding and creating this supportive for the emotional community, it's super hard in the most of the country. So think about this and try to doing the research. Okay, this country, what's the culture of this country? I have to move there. What's the culture of this city? Some of the cities have a nightlife until the morning, most of the bar, most of the city be on, so you can go in there. But in the most of the European country, maybe at the 4 and 6 and 7, it's done, shut down, so nobody there. So you may be feeling super lonely. So finding this kind of the community, this kind of the emotional support is too hard. So completely think about this path of you want to choose. And this is serious problem when you decide and do you want to choose, okay, which kind of the path of the industrial job or the PhD I want to choose. Okay, in the right now we have reached this point to want to say, okay, we have an actually decision framework with thinking about that. So I want to do this kind of the exercise. After the finishing this video, you can pause it and do it. Try to write some reason about why I want to do the PhD. And also added in some reason against this PhD. I didn't need to PhD. And in some cases you can say, okay, I'm not sure. The main reason, okay, I want to do the PhD because I love the research. Didn't need the PhD because this career path didn't mandatory to having the PhD, but I'm not sure to go in and move into this city or university. And let's give the example to fill out. Some reason is super stronger to choosing the PhD is during your master degree, you keep asking your question, okay, what's the next question? How I can look at this research question in another perspective? how we can change it, this approach, or not. You asking yourself, okay, I want to just finish that. This is two approach. Or you look at the job career after doing the research, you found it, okay, this kind of the research actually need to having the PhD. I have to get in the PhD to be the professor in the higher rank of the university. I love doing the teaching, but for entry to this industrial of the teaching or university, I need to get the PhD, so I have to move them. Oh no, but during your master or during your participating in the conference, you find some person or in the professor that's work in your major and you really want to work with him for the 3 years. You need to get this perspective of this person. You need to work in this area to be much more professional, maybe improving yourself. Maybe you just started for the 2-3 years, you need to improve some idea in your mind. So try to look at it this way and also think about it. I really want to spend 4 years of my life in this topic to get the much more detail of them. I want to be highest person working in this major. This kind of the strong passion question, if you face it with them, just start make a decision based on them and try to choose to start in the PhD. But I have another approach or another aspect. During your master thesis, you found it, okay, I want to just finish them. I didn't feel any passion to continuous research on this topic. It's so exhausting. Or no, my career I want to choose, I want to be technician in the industrial job, I want to work in this part. So I can just start it. It's much more important in this industrial, in this area, have a experience rather than the education. So it's the best time to start to work. You maybe earn the money during these 4 or 5 years. Oh no, my family or my situation right now is not fit. My family faces with a problem. In the first, I have to handle them. Or now I want to get married, and then for 4 years spend it with my wife or any kind of this approach. You have to think about your life. In the final, we haven't any wrong answer. It's not a shame to spend it after the master degree for 4 years. You work and then get the experience, and that moment you're feeling okay. Based on my education, based on my knowledge right now, I can continue work in this industry. So I decide to back into university, get a lot of the experience in this area, doing the research, being the professional, and back into industrial. So creating the bridge between the university and industrial. That's a perfect one. So it's not any kind of the wrong answer to doing the work and then backing and decide and feeling, okay, my financial situation right now is more or less good, my family being a stable time, I'm very confident I need this kind of the education, I contact with a professor, explain my work, we write some proposal for them, so we have a clear mindset, more or less, and you start the PhD to doing the research and connected with the industry. So you find the question here, back into university to find the answer and bring this answer to industry. Maybe you created the new business for yourself. So this is the process, maybe you can find it. And also, most of the case, if you not do research, just the title of the doctor because you like in this kind, but try to be honest with yourself. Try to think about the whole of the process, because this decision affects on the all aspects of your life, 4, 5, maybe for whole of them. So decision, you have to base it on the actual need of your life, not some pressure from the professor, from your friends, from your family. No, you have to move in this industry to be the doctor, to be a PhD. So be honest with yourself. And if you're not sure about that, I suggest you to think for more or less 1 month, 1 week about try to think a different aspect. What's your vision about the 5 and 10 years of your future? If you have any clear vision, it's not shame. Think more, asking your other person. Another approach to find your question. For example, you want to see, okay, what's the daily life of the PhD student? You want to choose them. Go to university, find some PhD student working specific in your major and talk with them to say, okay, what's your life balance during these PhD studies? Okay, you're happy with that? Which kind of the aspect it's a positive or the negative? During this episode and also the next episode, I try to do that and asking the other PhD students, we're talking about the experience of the life of the studying and the working in the university to make much more clear vision for the other people's working on this part. And give yourself some deadline to say, okay, I want to decide in the next 2-3 months. And doing your research, try to figure out, okay, about the financial, about your life, about the decision making have effect. I give it to you during this video and learn about that. And try to talk with other people doing your research and decide and say, okay, I want to move into industrial. No, I want to starting my PhD in the educational life. So, in the last part, I want to talk about if you found this video it's useful for you or any kind of the person you know that have a condition to be is a decision for this to pass, try to share with them and try invite all the people who want to talk about this kind of after. If you're a PhD student, you want to talk your experience or not, you're a professor to talk about any kind of the approach, what's happened for the people and have experience in this part, we are open. We can put the comments here or send the emails or in the LinkedIn part and we can manage this kind of the meeting. So, in the final, I want to promise to yourself to be really honest with yourself during this process and we have no wrong answer. So I'm ready for you in the next episode. Bye bye.